My wife's folks, who were dog owners their entire lives, had gone about 20 years without having a dog, and they were in their mid-80s and decided that they really wanted some additional companionship, but weren't ready to go ahead and start with a puppy. They decided they wanted Cavalier King Charles, which are wonderfully sweet dogs. But because they're so wonderfully sweet, they're difficult to find as 1 and 2 year old dogs. So we searched the country and found a breeder out in California. We had a veterinarian out in California that we knew, examined the dog, and passed all the basic tests. And so hopped on a plane in New York, flew to California, put the dog in a carrier, and hopped the plane for Tucson, Arizona to deliver the dog. We brought the dog into the house as a 85th birthday present for my father-in-law. As we're playing with the dog for the next day or so, my mother-in-law, who is a former bomber pilot in World War II, one of the first 99 women pilots in the United States, she says, "I think this dog can't hear." And we said, "No, that's not possible. It's passed all the tests, been with a top-notch breeder. Doesn't make any sense." And so we're sitting on the couch watching a football game in December, and she sneaks up behind the dog with a pot and a steel spoon and bangs it vigorously, and the dog doesn't flinch. So we're totally stunned, completely surprised, because we said, "No, that's not possible." And so you kind of clap, you snap your fingers, you clap your hands, and vibrations could still be felt, but no noise. First thing we do is I call up the breeder right away and said, "Is this dog deaf?" Of course, the breeder was stunned and said, "No, this dog isn't deaf." We bring the dog to the veterinarian the next day, does a complete exam, and we find out, in fact, this dog is deaf. But now the dog is in the home. It's already bonding with everybody in the family, most importantly, my 85-year-old father-in-law. We realized very quickly, within a couple of days, that this dog is compensated so well for being deaf that it was really not a challenge to have them around the household. So they said, well, how do you communicate with this dog? Well, you just say, "Dulce, come here." You wave your hand, the dog would follow. You walk down the street, the dog would follow. It was a wonderful dog. In fact, it couldn't have been a much better relationship that you'd have in any dog that you bring into any household. And the extraordinary lesson learned for us in that is, had we known that this dog was deaf before we had adopted it, we would have rejected that dog right out of hand. Said, no, that would be too much work. It really was something that was surprising to all of us because of how well Dulce compensated for the deafness and had no challenges at all living with folks in their 80s. It was really remarkable. It was wonderful for them, and it was great for Dulce as well.